Welcome, everyone. It's nice to see you all here today. Hello, my name is Jabron Tong, and I go by he, him pronouns, and I'm the Health and Wellness Coordinator at SMYAL. I want to welcome everyone to the first joint program between SMYAL and the Woodhull Freedom Foundation as part of the 2021 Sexual Freedom Summit. We have partnered to highlight LGBTQ plus youth leaders from across the country and provide them with a platform to showcase their work. Tonight, we welcome Morgan Robertson to discuss what it takes to become an ally to queer and trans communities. And with that said, I will hand it off to Morgan.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry, that's my sister. Hi, everyone. My name is Morgan Robertson, and I'm here to present allyship and how to be a good ally to the LGBTQ plus community. So the first thing I would like you guys to do is, if you look in the chat, there's a Google form that Noemi put in that I would like you guys to fill out really quickly, please. It should take no more than like 2-3 minutes. It depends on how long you want your responses to be. But as you are filling out that form, I will be presenting this slides for allyship. So at 7:05, I think I'm going to start. Just about a minute. Okay, so I hope everybody filled out the form. You can still be filling it out while I'm presenting, so that's perfectly fine. But let's start. So this is allyship and what it's really about. Does everybody know what allyship means, or like the gist of it? If anybody wants to share out what they think it means, they can. If not, I can just give a general meaning of it.
I was gonna say just supporting people in the LGBTQ plus community, believing them when they come out, and just being respectful.
Oh my God, I don't know. So sorry, guys. Yes, that is a very good definition. I'm sorry. Just had a little technical difficulty. But yes, that is absolutely correct. That is what allyship is. Just supporting the community. And we're gonna tell you how to be a good ally now. So.
Two things. Reagan is raising her hand, and also, are you trying to share your screen?
I think I stopped sharing my screen by accident. So that should be loading, should be coming up. Reagan, do you have a question?
I was gonna say my definition of an ally is to be supportive of any different, like someone that you don't necessarily identify with. So maybe if that be an ally for like mental health, feminism, LGBT, even if you're not gay or not necessarily an active feminist or a person with a disability, it's just like supporting them and trying to help spread awareness about that particular group.
I agree. That's absolutely true. Awesome. So allyship. Go on to the next slide. Oh, right. The norms. Please make sure that we all speak at one time. Please don't make anybody uncomfortable, and we should get it going. So your goals are to learn how to react when somebody comes out to you, like just the first steps. What you do after, what we tell you, the learning and stuff that you come up with, that's up to you. And our goal here isn't to tell you to accept it or to not accept it. It's just telling you the best way you can be an ally when somebody is coming out to you, the best way you can support them. So we're also going to teach you action steps an ally can take to be supportive to their friend who's in the community, and how to find a balance between being that supportive friend and also not making that friend's identity or sexuality or anything like that the focus of any conversation, relationship, or anything about them, because their sexuality and identity, that's a part of them, but it's not all of them. So we want to make sure that it's not the whole focus. So let's talk about the 7-38-55 rule. So this rule means that body language is 55% of how you can affect them in a way. Your actual spoken words is only 7%, but your voice and tone of the words that you're saying is 38%. So your body language is the biggest part of how you come off to anybody. It doesn't matter if somebody's opening up to you about their identity, but like in general, when you're talking to somebody, your body language says a lot. Like the faces you make says a lot. I've always been told that like your face can speak before your mouth even does, and it's absolutely true. So make sure that when somebody's opening up to you about anything, especially their gender identity, sexuality, that you think about how you're coming towards them. Your spoken words are also important. Nobody can tell you exactly what to say. There isn't a right or wrong thing to say in a situation, but what you say to them is very important, but that's a you thing that you're gonna have to figure out, but it does still affect them when somebody's coming out to you. And your voice and tone is also incredibly important, because you don't want to come off as too harsh or judgmental or just like you don't want to hear what they have to say. So make sure you guys think about that too. Coming out is absolutely scary. Now, people can be incredibly solid with how they are, what their sexuality is, but when you're talking to somebody you care about, it's always a fear that it might go wrong or they might not accept you. So even if they're your best friend, even if you think that somebody knows, of course you'll always love them, it's always a genuine valid fear that people have, because you never know. So please take that into consideration, that you can be talking to the person that you think can trust you the most, but they can still be scared. So make sure that you still take into consideration the 7-38-55 rule. So, okay, right, sorry. So when you're ever in doubt, make sure that you think about them and your love for them. You never want to make them seem like they're not worth it. So yes, just make sure you think about it. So you really have to, I'm so sorry. So you really have to give acceptance time for the person. You have to give them space to make sure that they are good with themselves. And though it might seem like you just want to bombard them with questions, or why you think this, or why do you think this is okay? Any type of questions you have, make sure that you give them space, because sometimes a lot of people may know like who they are, but they might not know why. Like a lot of people honestly don't have answers to most of the questions you have, because they're trying to find the answers for themselves too. So you have to make sure that you give them that space. And it is a challenge between both people. Absolutely, but you have to make sure that you realize that they're also scared and they might not fully understand themselves too. So you have to give them that space and time. So how can you be an ally? We're just going to go through these bullet points. You can acknowledge and discuss privilege. Listen more, speak less. I feel like this is one of the most important things, is to listen, because a lot of people, when there's something that they don't understand, the first human instinct is to question and wonder if it's really true. So you have to make sure that you listen. It might not be what you want to hear, but it's all that they have. So make sure you listen to them. Take ownership of your own education. Yes, this is most definitely teaching you how to become a better ally. But if you really want to be a better ally, make sure that you can go and look up other things or talk to other people in the community to really grasp how you can react best. Build capacity and take and process constructive criticism. So a lot of people are like stuck in old ways or might have solid ideas on what right and wrong is, but the world is consistently changing, so you have to change with it. We cannot be stuck in one place. You have to take the criticism and take the change that's coming with you. Embrace our emotions as part of the process. Emotions are 100% natural, 100% natural. We may not do the right thing on instinct, because a lot of people may be scared, and that's perfectly fine. Like, your first instinct may be to lash out or immediately question and bombard, and that's okay. But it's something you're just gonna have to watch. And if you do happen to do this, just make sure you try and reach out to the person and then apologize, try to make them understand that you are trying to be better and you're learning how to become a better ally as they're learning to find themselves also. And be okay with allyship for allyship's sake. Please. I hope you guys understand that. Like, please just be there for them. That's the best thing you can do. Even in silence, just be there for the person. Okay. What is showing up and how do I do it? So, like it says, there's no one way to do this. There are multiple ways. Absolutely. Nothing's ever black and white. So we're going to show you ways that you can show up. We're just going to practice this. Oh, right. First, intersectionality. Intersectionality is a key term in the social justice organizing of today that emphasizes the importance of taking all parts of a person's identity into consideration. For example, the overlapping roles that our identities play in shaping our lived experiences. Those, like, recognizing that is intersectionality. So you need to realize that there are many key components that goes into shaping who we are. So make sure that you think about that whenever you're having a moment where somebody might be coming out to you or you need to be a good ally. So embracing intersectionality, allyship is the first step towards change. And to break it down a little, it's basically saying that embracing the different key components that goes into us as human beings, being okay with that and making sure that you are partnered with that is the first step towards changing. Because if you just go around thinking that a person is this, and that, it's not going to work. It's too many different things that may change a person and too many different things that is incorporated in a person for it to only be just 1, 2, 3. So that's the first step towards changing. Just recognizing it and embracing it. It's going to help you. So if you want more information on how to be a better ally, you can go to YouTube, Wikipedia, HuffPo, Teen Vogue, The Atlantic. But maybe look up some interviews with your favorite celebrities if you're more of a teenager and want to think about that. There are also a lot of great films out that inform you about this, or many LGBTQ centered films. I know Pose is a very good show on Netflix that I've heard about that focuses about that. Call Me by Your Name with Timothy Chalamet. It might be some people's favorite celebrity. I've heard a lot about him. People love him. Euphoria is a more adultish version, but it does tackle a lot of things, especially like people in the community. There's a lot of that is spoken about in true realness. So those shows are gonna help you. And remember, this is a commitment. This presentation is not just oh, I know this, now I'm perfect at this. No, it takes time. Even anybody who knows this things 100% can still mess up sometimes. And it takes a lot of time. Even the people in the community may mess up a little when somebody else comes out to them. And so just make sure that you're willing to change and you're willing to learn. That's the best thing that can happen or that you can do to become a better ally. I promise, the best thing that you can do. So that is the last slide. I'm going to stop sharing now. And I just want to get you guys' idea. You love Pose? Yes. Oh, sorry, I just opened the chat. Yes. I have to watch it sometime. I promise I have to watch it. But it's a lot of shows centered around that on Netflix and Hulu and stuff like that. So make sure you guys watch it. Like, just entertainment purposes can educate you a little bit. But so now that that is done, I want you guys to quickly take the after presentation survey. I don't know if this one's going to take any longer. I think this one actually might be a little quicker, but this one is a quiz form, and I want to see if you guys can get them all right. I'm going to open it now and fill it out myself, and we can go over it together. And then after that, I'm going to pass the mic to Noemi, and then you guys can ask any questions you want. I mean, if you want to ask a question now, that's perfectly fine too. Yes. So let's go to, okay, I'm going to fill this out, and now I'm going to be able to see you guys' responses. So again, when you finish, please raise your hand. And I have it open now to see people's responses. I want to see, it's a total of 5 points. So whoever can get the first 5 out of 5, you'll get a virtual high five from me, I promise. It's 100% guaranteed. I really apologize if you can hear my cat. She's giving herself a bath right now, so I truly apologize. Oh, we have 2 responses, 2 responses. Okay, so both of you guys got a 5 out of 5. All right, that's good. So Sion and Naya, okay, everybody's getting a 5 out of 5. You guys all give virtual high fives. Good job. I'm incredibly proud. Oh, everybody. High fives. Noemi, Reagan. Fine. I see you all. I see you all. I see you all. I promise. So I can just, while this is happening, because it seems like everybody's getting this right, I can just quickly go over it. So what is one of the things you're supposed to learn? Option A was how to leave when someone comes out to you, how to help when someone comes out to you, how to react when someone comes out to you, and how to convert someone when they come out to you. I hope everybody would get this right. But it's C, how to react when someone comes out to you. Absolutely. What is the correct measurements of the 7, 38, 30, 55 rule? I wanted to try to make this one tricky because, you know, numbers, they escape my mind really fast. So I'm actually very surprised that everyone got this right. Body language is 55, voice and tone 38, and spoken words 7%. Absolutely. And then what is one way that someone can react that can hurt the person that is coming out to them? Consistently interrupting them to ask a question about their sexuality is 100% true. Listen more, speak less. It's one of the first things. Define intersectionality. Everyone got this right. Wow, good job. This is definitions are also hard for me to remember. So make sure, I'm very proud of you guys for that one, getting that one right. Good job. And all of the above, what is one way you can find more information about allyship? All of them, Wikipedia, YouTube, Teen Vogue, The Atlantic. And let's see your favorite celebrity that is in the community. Okay. Cheyenne Jackson or Billy Porter. Oh yeah. I've seen Billy Porter's runway outfits and they're always extra and I love it so much. They're amazing. Demi Lovato, great. You know, first song I ever heard by her was like Heartbreak. You know, it's still in my mind. Such a great song. I used to try to sing it all the time. I don't know why I thought I could, but it's a great song. Victoria Monet, love her. Dan Levy, I've heard of him, but I don't think I know him fully, but I've heard of him. Whoever wrote that, if you want to unmute yourself and tell me who it is, that would be very nice. Or like a movie or something, but I most definitely have heard his name before. I don't know, most high actresses. I love it. I love it. Bretman Rock. Oh, amazing. Iconic. Iconic. Hard. There is a lot. Amara. Okay. I love it. But does anybody know who Dan Levy is? I don't. I'm so sorry. Oh, Frank Ocean. Yeah, Frank Ocean.
I think someone said it in the chat, but I don't want to say it out loud.
Kaylani.
It's not.
Oh, I can say it. It's Dan Levy's from the show Schitt's Creek.
I was wondering how I would say that.
It's
Okay.
really cool because in the show they show like a really normalized. I think it's a really great show to watch if people are interested in like how to be allies, because like you said, they don't treat the character's identity as the entire thing about their personality. It's just one aspect that they talk about sometimes, but that there's so many other things going on, and they just totally, the family supports that character unconditionally.
Yeah, that's one of my pet peeves when it comes to a lot of like shows and movies. The gay character always has to have like a million stereotypes, from the way they speak to the way they dress to the way they act, the extraness. It always has to be something. And I'm like, you do know that a lot of people actually don't act like that. But yes, so I appreciate everybody who filled out this form. Practically everybody got everything right. So high fives to all of you. I appreciate it so much. And now we're going to pass the floor to Noemi, and she's going to share her experiences as being a part of the community. So here's Noemi Durand.
Hi, everyone. I'm Noemi Durand. I'm a sophomore at Basis DC, and I go by the pronouns she, her. And I identify as bisexual currently. I don't believe that's going to change, but you know, it might, who knows. And yeah, I'm just going to talk a bit about my experience with realizing that and then coming out, and then where I am now. And then I'm going to talk about like spreading awareness and being an ally. So I first started thinking that I might be bisexual about 2 years ago. And I had no reason to. I like really doubted myself because there's this common thing within the bisexual community where it's like, do I want to be her or do I want to be with her? And I found myself asking that a lot of the time because I didn't know if I was actually genuinely attracted to a girl or if I just thought that she was pretty and I wanted to look like that. So I think that like really made me doubt myself for that first about year. And then about a year ago, I had an actual crush on a girl for the first time. And I was like, and that took me a second to realize because I wasn't sure if it was actually a crush. Again, I was like, wait, do I just like want to be her? Do I just think she's a great person, or am I actually attracted to her? And so once I realized that I was attracted to her, it took me a while to come to terms with that. And eventually I just decided to shoot my shot. And we ended up going out for almost 9 months. And then unfortunately we broke up. But yeah, and so that's kind of like how I realized my sexuality. And then coming out was a whole different story, but it wasn't hard to do personally because I grew up in a community where it's like very okay to be gay. My parents are liberal and completely okay with it, and same with my friends. I think that's one of the benefits of living in DC. But I talked to a trusted adult about like what I was feeling for that first year where I wasn't sure. And then eventually, when I realized I had a crush on this girl, I told my friends about it, you know, like you would with a normal crush. And so I guess that was kind of my way to coming, that was my way of coming out to my friends about it. And then eventually, right before going out on my first date with that girl, I told my parents about it. And so I phrased it as, hey, like, is it okay if I go out on a date with this girl this Saturday, you know? And they were actually like surprisingly nonchalant about it. Like they almost, I almost felt like they didn't even realize that I said it was a girl at first. Um, they were just kind of like, okay, yeah, sure, that's cool, you know. And then eventually, at like afterwards, later that day, they came to me and they're like, hey, we really appreciate that you wanted to tell us about this, you know. And like if you ever want to talk about it, we're here to talk about it. And I really appreciated that response because they didn't make it a big deal. And like Morgan was talking about with the intersectionality, like they didn't make it seem like that was my main like personality trait, you know? They just were like, okay, this is one more aspect about you that we're glad that you realized. And we're here to support you if you ever need to. And I think that's a good way of going about it if your friend or your family member or anyone ever comes out to you, um, because it made me feel really supported and as if like they were completely okay with it, you know. And I think that's a really good feeling to have when you come out to someone. um and yeah, and so I broke up with the girl that I had my first crush on a while ago, and I am now with the guy. And so I found that that has brought up not as many questions within myself. Like I'm pretty comfortable with who I am. I know that I'm bi and that even though I'm with a guy, I'm still bisexual and that's not changing. But I've had several friends and my dad asked me, so like now that you're with a guy, are you straight again or are you still bi, like what's the deal? And so I think that's a very common myth to have where like you are the sexuality of who of like your sexuality depends on who you are with, if that makes sense. And I don't think that's true. Um Personally, from everyone that I've talked to and myself, like your sexuality is fluid and it can change, but it doesn't change based on other people. It changes based on yourself. And so I am confident that I am bisexual, and I know that that doesn't change just because I'm with a guy currently, because if we ever break up, then I know that I will still be attracted to girls. Um, so yeah, and I think that's like a very common misunderstanding. And it's obviously it's not the only common misunderstanding. And I think that kind of transfers me into how I think people can be allied. Um, and one of the most important parts of being allied is learning. And so that means learning about the community's history, and the current day effects of it, you know, so bias in the workforce, for example, and like that kind of stuff. And then just like keep learning as people come out with more stories, you know, like times are always changing, and people's experiences are always going to be different and they're going to share it in a different way. And I think it's important for us to not just learn, like Morgan said, like not just learn once and then assume that that's just the truth and like end all be all truth. Our everyone's truths are constantly changing, and I think it's important to keep learning in order to keep up with that. And then another part of learning is asking questions. And so that doesn't mean bombard people with questions. That doesn't mean like overstep your boundaries. You know, I have a lot of people asking gay people like how they have sex, for example, and that is completely inappropriate. That's not something that you would ask a straight person, and it's just a lack of respect. Just because someone is in a different situation than you. And yeah, and so that goes to another point of just be respectful, you know, just take people's emotions into consideration. And your questions should not be more important than their feelings and their comfortableness. And so you just, whenever you're asking questions, make sure to be aware of the other person and make sure that they have this space to step away from the conversation if they ever feel the need to. But also don't ask questions that might make them feel the need to step away from the conversation. And another part of asking questions is genuinely ask them because you're actually curious. Don't ask them because you have assumptions or you have you have already made up your opinion on a matter and want to talk to them about it. Ask questions because you want to learn about it and because you'll be open to their answer. And I think that's a really important thing, that people tend to ask questions but then not really actually hear that person's answer. Um, and then another thing about assumptions is that often they're based off of one experience. So you'll have one experience with one person that belongs to a certain minority group, and then you'll assume that that same experience goes for everyone in that minority group. And I think that's a huge part of bias and stereotypes, is that since there are less people of that group, it's easier to make broad generalizations like that based off of one experience. And so you want to make sure to separate each, again, it goes to the intersectionality. You want to make sure to separate individual people from the community that they belong to, because they don't represent that entire community and that entire community does not represent them. Another part of learning is also unlearning. So there are a lot of things that society teaches us from the time that we're very young, you know, like it needs to be a prince and a princess, or it needs to be a mother and a father in order to have children. And that's just not true. And that's something that we really need to unlearn in order to keep our mindset open and make sure that like we are open to everyone and we make everyone feel comfortable and we support everyone in the best way possible. Oh, and the last thing about being an ally is just spreading awareness. So starting those conversations with your friends and family, with your teachers in school, post on Instagram, that kind of stuff, because that can be extremely helpful. And even though it's hard, like those conversations can be really uncomfortable and really difficult, but it's important to have, and it's important to have those conversations, especially to build that support system if anything ever does come up, and make sure that like you're all on the same page. And I believe that's it.
I actually have one more thing or example to add. So just, I know a lot of people here, like a lot of these people here I know, and I know that they're all very supportive of the community. And I just wanted to show exactly how you can change, even though you think that you're perfectly fine with everything, because it actually happened to me. I grew up knowing that I was into girls from a very young age. And I was always like, oh, I always liked girls. I was always crushing them. I've dated some. So it's always like I knew. And every time I came out to somebody, or just like as a family, I'm like, oh, you guys know I'm bi, right? Like I'm bisexual, this, and that. And I used to actually make jokes until my sister corrected me. But when it came to the community, when it came to the pansexual people in the community, I would be like, oh, you guys like anything, or like you guys would date a tree or a pan or anything like that, because I was simply uneducated about what it was. Because anytime somebody would explain it to me, they were just like, oh, we like everything. And I didn't know what everything was. So I just like made a joke about it. And I don't know if it was a coping mechanism, but my sister came up to me and she's like, oh, I'm pansexual. And I was like, okay, but like, what is that? Like, you would date anything? And she's like, no, it just means that like we more so would date like any gender, like anything you identify as, we have no problem dating. And so even when I figured out the definition of it, I would still always think that I was bisexual. But these upcoming months, I actually think that I'm more pansexual than bisexual, because like honestly, when I think about it, anytime I come across somebody I view as beautiful or attractive, it doesn't matter like what gender they are. It doesn't matter if they are a transgender person, if they go by they, them pronouns, if they're gender fluid, anything like that. I have no problem. Like, I'm like, if I would have, like, if I have a chance with them, I have no problem dating them. And I'm like, it kind of gets very tricky because I'm like, am I really bisexual or am I pansexual? Like, I genuinely don't know. So it's an upcoming thing now, and it's a learning curve for me. And I grew up my entire life thinking I was the greatest ally. I had no problem with any gay people. Like back then, I didn't even know the full acronyms of what LGBTQ plus meant. So again, even though now I'm presenting this to you, I'm still learning things about it myself right now. So that's one way that you can really take into consideration. Like, you might think you know everything, but sometimes you really don't, and it's changing all the time. Noemi, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. I think like it's not just straight people or people who don't belong to the LGBTQ plus community that need to educate themselves. It's us, and honestly, us even more so. But I wanted to say something about the difference between pansexual and bisexual. From what I understand, bisexual is you have a preference, so you will date like pronouns don't really matter. You will date people who identify as they them and transgender people and like whatever. But it's just that often bi people have a preference for a certain gender, and pansexual people just don't see gender at all and just like people strictly for who they are. So that's my understanding of it.
If we go by that understanding, then you may have just helped me significantly here. Because literally now I'm discovering myself right now on the call, because I that's also like stereotypes within the community is also something that we're going to have to combat, because I know a lot of people, like, they feel like when it comes to bisexual women especially, like I know a lot of people who have said to me themselves, because they've only seen me date a boy, they're like, you're not even really bisexual, you don't even date girls. And I'm like, but how would you know though? Like, me personally, I feel like sometimes I messed up because I do have a preference of men, but I'm still absolutely 100% attracted to women, but I just tend to date men. That's like, or boys, like, that's it. So it's like also a lot of stereotypes and things that we need to combat within the community. So that's also a big thing, especially with the people who are already in the community, that we still need to have a lot of fixing and working on, especially when people want to be allies and they kind of get confused.
Yeah, completely. And I've kind of had this internal battle within myself too, because sometimes I'll wonder like, do I want to be more attracted to women because I want to validate my own feelings that like, yes, I am bisexual? Or do I want to date more men because society has taught me that I'm supposed to be with men and that's how I can create a family? And so like there are just so many things about the things that I've learned in the past and the things that I'm learning now that have been going into like, I guess, my internal battle of whether I mean, I know I'm bisexual, but like I guess my validation of it and how much I actually believe myself. And I think that's a very difficult thing that is common, especially among bisexual people. I think with gay people, it's a little bit more straightforward. Um, but with bisexual people, there's also a lot less support from the community. Like the community itself has even said that bisexuality like shouldn't be part of the LGBTQ plus community. Not the community, sorry, some people in the community have said that. But And I think that just like that really invalidates a lot of us, and I don't think that it's fair. And it just, I don't know, like it really contributes to my inner fighting about like how I feel.
Yes, absolutely. See, even the people in the community still need to figure out how to be allies to each other. So that's a big thing we're combating also. And if anybody wants to join in, any type of confusion they have about their sexuality, we may be able to fix here, or any questions, you can please feel free to ask them. Because I think then like the presentation that we have so far is just about finished. So if you have any questions, comments, add-ons, you want to talk about your favorite celebrities who are in the community, give me some more movies of that, you can absolutely just jump in whenever you want, because this is like the whole professional, straightforward. It's over. Talk about anything you want right now. Literally.
I want to thank y'all for your presentation. I think this is really awesome. And I know when I think back to when I was in high school, like these were not conversations that people my age were having. And so I'm really excited to see sophomores in high school having those conversations and at a really high level as well. Those are a lot of concepts that I was learning when I got to college. Um, I also think I was really struck by you talking about how like we can also be allies within our own community, that it's not just for straight people to be allies to the LGBTQ community, but that the LGB can be an ally to the trans community and vice versa, and that there are different levels of privilege within the you know, as they call it, like the alphabet soup um, itself. So I think that was a really important concept. The question that I had, I think you both kind of talked about it, but I wonder if you could maybe name like one of the times that you were an ally for someone else, or that like one of the most significant times that someone was an ally to you.
I guess I can go first with this, but I actually have a lot of family members who are transphobic. um like a lot of them, and it's crazy. My family is very complex because we have a lot of people who are in the community, like me, my sister who's on the call, Reagan. I have cousins who are gay and or the alphabet mafia. Cousins who are gay, or I have some who are lesbian. So like I have a lot who are like mixed in this community, but there's also like still those people who do not support it, but we still all like are in the same space and everything. So I have had to defend transgender people many times. I've had to ask many of my family members to stop using the slur that they call transgender. I think you guys know what slur I'm talking about. Like if I hear it, I will most definitely correct it, because that's just disrespectful. And I've had somebody tell me, well, like that's just what I call them. And I'm like, well, that's something that's very derogatory towards them and disrespectful. And I've also had to correct people when they say the R slur towards mentally disabled people many times. And even though even though they're my family and a lot of them are like 10, 20 years older than me, I feel like because I'm a part of this community, like it's a pack, like it's something that we have to do, and we have to stick together to make sure that people understand that we really are who we are and there's no changing that. So it doesn't matter if they take it as disrespect or any type of way, I will correct them, because I just feel like that's just like it's disrespectful. And I feel like you talking down on them is also you talking down on me because I'm with them. So that's one of my, I know it's not very specific because I wish I could, but it's happened too many times to just be specific, and it's kind of upsetting. Naya, I think, has her hand raised. Yes, Naya.
I was just gonna say, when you're talking about like correcting family members, I have done that like many times. I don't think it's gotten anywhere because my dad's from Jamaica and he comes from a very religious family. We actually have a cousin who is lesbian and is like living with her partner, but it's kind of like she's the black sheep of the family. most of the time because because she is lesbian, she came out to her mom and stuff, so like I don't really see her at events or anything, and she's rarely talked about. So and even like with the R word, I constantly try to like tell my dad or my uncle that it's just not right, but it's like that's the way that they grew up and that's like how they were taught. So I guess it's hard for them to learn, but I don't think that they're also like willing to learn all the time. That's all I had to say. Great presentation, everyone.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah, I think that like it's the same thing with people not using people's correct pronouns. I think like they're just not they don't want to try. Because if they did try, they would get it right, you know, and like they might slip up every once in a while. That's normal. Everyone makes mistakes, but they would actually try and they wouldn't get mad when they were corrected, you know. And I think I've definitely seen that a lot. I wanted to share my personal experience with being an ally. I had most of my friends are gay, to be honest, but I have one specific friend who came out to me before anyone else. I think she came out to like one person at a summer camp, but then I was the second person that she came out to. And so I think a big part of me being an ally to her was just keeping her secret, you know, like not telling anyone and just respecting that she'll tell people when she's ready, and that it's not my place to tell anyone about that. Um, and I think like that's one of the best things that I could have done. And I was just like, you know, I was there to support her. I was there to hear about her experiences. And since I was the only one that she could talk to about it for a while, I was there to listen when she wanted it. And I think like in that situation, I did the best thing that that someone could do to be an ally. And I also wanted to mention, like with the family thing, my family speaks French, and we don't really have conversations about these kind of things. But I know that they're not as liberal as my parents are, and so that like I haven't come out to them yet because I'm kind of scared of their reaction. And the worst part is I'm not even as scared of their reaction of me being bisexual as I am of their reaction that I date like at least the last two people that I've dated have been Black people. Um, and so I feel like they might be even less accepting of that. So I don't know. We'll see how that conversation goes when it comes to it. But yeah, family can be difficult sometimes.
With that said, thank you again for Morgan and Noemi for presenting today. And I also want to give a thank you to Ashley and Kaylee for providing ASL. Thank you so much. And I also want to thank the attendees for taking the time to being here today. If any of you are interested in our future programs, please take the time to follow SMYAL or Woodhall on social media. Also, SMYAL will be hosting monthly workshops that are designed by youth, facilitated by youth, and are for youth, and are for anyone interested in learning more about what matters to youth. I hope to see you all again next time.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
You guys have a very lovely day. I hope this was educational. This was very fun to do. It didn't feel like work. It felt like I was actually speaking to people. So it's very nice. You guys have a lovely day. I hope we all became better allies today. So have a nice day, everybody.
Right, bye.
Thank you so much. It was great.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.